All right, guys, welcome back. Let's talk about that real talk, that shadow work. Let's get it. Today is a very, very important day. It's the 4th of November, 2024. And as you've noticed, we have now stumbled upon the realm of real work. Okay, real work. Now, let me check something. Okay. All right, so this does work. I'm just going to turn off my headphones in case there's some noise transmission issues with that. All right. Before I forget, I'm just gonna edit the video, edit some of the features. All right. Thank you for your patience. Get ready, get stretched. Okay. Stretch your body, I mean. Don't take that in the wrong way, unless you want to. All right. Let's talk shadow work. Let's talk integrating the beast within. And let Uncle Makara break it down for you in a way that's gonna stick to your bones. Most people, bless them. Right? They're snug as bugs in their own little house. They love that suffering. They cling to that suffering like it's the last raft in a storm. Why? Because it's familiar. Because it's theirs and they're possessive. Like a favorite pair of ragged shoes with holes. Uncomfortable to wear, but known, right? They'd rather stay in their mess than take a step into the unknown. Now, here's the deal. To get on the path, to really walk it, you're going to have to look square in the mirror and see every dark corner of yourself, every ugly, twisted part of you. That's where the real juice is. And I know it's terrifying to most because to think if they let go of the pain, they'll vanish. Who am I without my anger? Who am I without my fear, my sadness? They don't even want to find out. They're too scared of being nothing to become everything. But for the brave few, the ones with the grit to drop all the old ways of thinking, the clinging, the poor me, they discover the big truth. To be free, you got to let go of everything, even the good stuff you cling to. No more identifying with every thought, every passing emotion. Those are just shadows in the mind. So here's the challenge. Dare to stop trusting those same old thoughts that spin you in circles. Imagine this. You stop believing them and you're suddenly free to step into who you really are, past all the noise. Not next week, not someday, now. Now, know this, most will give up. Only a handful will choose to walk through that fire, and that's fine. We're all where we're meant to be. We're all where we are meant to be. Some of us are just here to shake things up a little harder. So how does a woman lose an interest in a man? Does anybody know the answer? If she doesn't see a future with you, you don't check girls on their bad behavior. Excuse me, am I talking or are you talking? Right? That's still playful, but that checks her behavior. But most of you are easily throwing out compliments, creating cringe moments, yapping on and on and on. And you're attached to the simulation too much. This simulation of this planet that you're attending to, you want to live in your own bad situation. So this is why you got to be purpose driven to not step into that, right? Because women are attracted to someone with direction, someone with ambition, making potential long term rather than a short term fling. Okay. Or a quick, reliable hookup, right? But consistency shows you're someone that she can rely on, both physically and practically. So if you make promises or plans, you got to follow through. Being dependable builds trust over time, right? So let's do this. Whiteboard. This is really how someone can see a future with you. Okay, this should be very obvious, but it's not. It's not. We're never taught this stuff, even though it's right in our faces and we know it, right? Isn't this evident from your own positive relationships with people? Because, man, shout out Barbara Fredrickson. Okay, I've studied positive psychology. That's my background. And this woman created an incredible statement for love. She said, love is micro moments of connection. Hallelujah. So mote it be. Swaha. Okay. Micro moments of connection. So the little tiny segmented moments, these little intervals of connection that happen with another person, it starts to create a familiarity, a bond, right? A structure together, a balance of space and connection, a demonstration of loyalty and respect. And I was watching this Shunya Murti teaching on this video. It's called Nostalgia. Take some notes. Nostalgia, right? Like gnosis and nostalgia. Okay. So this is what he refers to an existential longing, okay, for unity with the true self. That's what he calls it. So he explains that most people are trapped in samsara. It's a cycle of ego-based nostalgia, right? Longing to reconnect with an idealized state of being unconditionally loved. This is why one of our main affirmations in the mirror is, I love you no matter what. Because that deep self-love, that nourishing universal self-love that is impersonal in nature, will actually cleanse your heart space. And it will let the shame, the guilt, and all the lower emotions, especially apathy, numbness, this kind of stuff, it melts it away so that you can feel your feelings again. Okay, that unconditional love. And it's symbolized by the archetype of a perfect mother. This longing can intensify if you're deprived of this ideal in childhood, leading to an attachment to objects or people in search for your wholeness. But Shunyamurti discusses how this unfulfilled longing morphs into intense desires or lusts for material objects, right? Materialism, relationships, or experiences that seem to promise satisfaction. But these attachments often results in disappointment, further entangling the ego in karmic patterns. So true liberation, according to Shunyamurti, requires transcendent egoic attachments and desires. Instead of focusing on the gnosis of the real self, a knowledge of the divine beyond this life, the ego resists this path due to the pull toward familiar desires. So this resistance creates inner conflict, which must be overcome to attain spiritual freedom. Shunyamurti identifies the three poisons: lust, judgment, and control. These are the egoic attachments. Overcoming these requires cultivating detachment from emotional reactions. You just have to observe your emotions without reacting to them. Your desires, your judgments, enabling the yogi to attain sovereignty over the mind. So true liberation or moksha is reached when one can consistently let go of your ego's impulses, freeing the mind to align with the divine self, right? So he says, dwell in the clear light and divine presence. So super powerful, but how do we go about the shadow work, right? How do we go about it? So first of all, we got to identify the shadow. Recognizing your shadow traits is challenging without external input, like feedback from a partner you're dating, a coach, a therapist, a counselor, someone who can provide honest reflections on you, right? So shadow traits often trigger reactions or defensiveness, and these responses can reveal hidden parts of ourselves coming up, wanting to be seen and heard. So recognizing your shadow traits is challenging without external input. Okay, we know that. So the role of external feedback. Integration of shadow self requires interpersonal interactions. Self-awareness alone isn't enough. These traits are invisible to us, bro. This is why they call it a blind spot, okay? So a close relationship or therapy is a mirror that can point it out to you. Maybe a partner is telling you, work on this area, right? And you're closing off to it. So self-awareness alone isn't going to help you, but them mirroring that trait back to you enables self-reflection and growth, actually. So don't avoid getting into relationships or whatever just because you feel like I need to heal, I need to heal. Sometimes they are your role in healing. Does this make sense, guys? Give me a thumbs up. And we are actually tapping into our very own psychological defenses. Okay. I'll speak down some of the about these ego defenses. Okay. But this is important, especially I believe if we want to get to this nostalgia. Okay. It's a great word. Okay. Fantastic. You see that this is the type of word that I love looking at as a lyricist, as a rapper, right? By seeing a word like that, by combining two words together, it fulfills my mind, my vocabulary. The same with discipline. I love that word. What a great new neologism, right? What an invented word that creates a new pattern in my mind that allows me to access it deeper, create a new connection, right? Because the first time you hear of Britney Spears isn't the last time you hear Britney Spears, right? The first time you heard her is probably like, I don't know, back of a billboard somewhere or something. And you forgot about it. Your subconscious mind forgot until you heard Toxic on the radio, right? Or whatever. So this is what I'm saying, guys, is you got to notice and create the formations that are true to you and you truly want to grow in your mind. Okay. What are the thoughts, concepts that you want to grow in your mind? because this game is all mine. Okay. So the psychological defenses, denial, projection, reaction formation, these actually prevent us from seeing our shadow. And these defenses are triggered when they offer us clues about hidden aspects of ourselves. So, what it means to me to point out that I'm unhygienic is that I cannot survive, and therefore I go into fight or flight mode, right? However, I've been able to catch that nowadays, way better at it, right? But it's tough, man, because when you get to these real deep truths about yourself, then you've almost got to understand, contrast Freud's biological drives, id, ego, superego, with Jung's more mystical approach. I mean, Freud's id describes a primal pleasure seeking, while Jung's shadow represents the darker, repressed parts of the personality, right? So both concepts are similar, but they also emphasize different aspects of the subconscious. Oh, there's like a little robin outside my window. Amazing. Probably good luck. You see, like, these little animals are messengers, right? And they always come through at the right moments for me to remind me of things. It's deeply pivotal and crucial, actually, that this robin came by my window right now. So family and relationships can be mirrors. Family interactions are crucial for shadow work. Since family members know us deeply, their reflections challenge us the most, making it a powerful catalyst for self-awareness. But also, an example given is like an improved marriage of a Jungian client who believed they weren't as angelic as they had believed initially about themselves. This self-awareness fostered more harmony, better understanding. It says this instead of this false sense of this relationship forming where everything was perfect. So instead, treat each insight as a puzzle piece, fitting all the pieces into place as you encounter similar scenarios. Doing shadow work takes time and practice, bro. You're not going to become a shadow dancer overnight. No way. Okay. Some people are more drawn to the darkness. That's fine, but that's some trauma shit. Okay. Work with it. Work with it. Because denial, repression, okay, these things, projection. What is denial? Some people don't even know what this is. Denial is refusing to look at the painful aspects of your reality. Denial can help you overlook parts of yourself that you don't want to admit exist, like anger or insecure. I'm not angry, bro. I'm not insecure. I'm not this. Denial involves bringing parts into awareness and accepting their presence. Repression pushes uncomfortable thoughts, memories, or desires out of conscious awareness. So repression can hide parts of our past or personality that seem incompatible with our current self-image. So shadow work means having to revisit these dark areas, these hidden areas, allowing repressed memories or traits to surface for healing. So it's no wonder not many people want to do this, right? It makes sense. Denial, then we have repression, then we have, I explained, a projection too. Projection is attributing your own undesirable qualities or feelings to others, right? We accuse others of traits we dislike about ourselves. Okay. So, hey man, this is what we do when we get attacked. I got spiritually attacked quite recently and I had transmuted the energy and very quickly. So I'd learned how to deal all of these, by the way, these ego defenses came up. Displacement, right? Reaction formation, sudden rationalization or excuses. I noticed all of it. I started to notice all of it and I was like, damn, that's not me. That's a weird defense clone version of me, right? That's like a weird defense clone version of me, right? Making that decision then. That's not me. That's me wanting to stay cautious because of family patterns or something. You know, it's so bizarre, but once you zoom into it, you start to notice the patterns. They're there, right? They're there in your genetics and in that lineage and in that code. And once you begin to understand it, you now can weave through it, beyond it, with it, understand it better, forget it, right? That's your choice. So introjection is unconsciously adopting beliefs or attitudes of others, especially influential figures like authority figures, parents, right? Introjected beliefs don't serve our authentic self. So here it's just about examining and identifying to see if those beliefs really align with your real values, right? Or are they just, you just unconsciously absorb the attitudes of others? You introjected them, right? So these are introspection. You reflect internally. This introjection, you're taking somebody else's belief system on board without even questioning it. Okay. Rationalization is creating logical reasons to justify behaviors or feelings that are actually driven by unconscious motives. It's funny, right? Rationalization hides the true emotional source of our actions. So it means dropping the intellectual veil and actually exploring the emotional roots of your behavior. So, and displacement is redirecting emotions from their original source to a safer target. Okay. So, like misplaced anger, frustration creates conflict where it doesn't belong. Shadow work can bring awareness to the true source of feelings and also allow for a healthier expression, right? Then, of course, sublimation, channeling unacceptable impulses into socially acceptable activities, like sublimation can be constructive, collective. Shadow work can reveal unprocessed emotions behind this transformation, and of course, reaction formation. This is where you act in a way opposite to your unacceptable impulses. Okay, so it's almost like you become extra polite, but you're really mad at this person, right? You flip, you create a mask of the opposite trait. Overly nice to cover up all this passive aggressiveness. And I'm feeling. Okay, that's reaction formation because you're uncovering the true emotions or impulses behind the actual behavior patterns. So now we think back to some of our maybe own family members, we think back to our teachers, we think back to our relationships. Like, what was it that was showing up then? Was it a regression? Did I revert to a childlike state or an immature behavior under stress? Okay. What was it? Was it a reaction formation? Was it a rationalization? Was it a projection? Maybe sometimes I projected now that I reflect on it, right? So you can only eat as much food as your stomach can digest, right? Shout out Rajar Shinandi or whatever his name is, right? That tantric guru on beer biceps, right? Otherwise, your digestive system will vomit it out, he said. You can only eat as much food as your stomach can digest, right? Which means spiritual energy leaks out through anger and lust. Okay, it leaks out like that. Shadow, whether psychology or personality, as Jung said, or how Freud saw it, we correlate it to the biological drive. So the beast, the id, the primitive pleasure principle, okay? Biological drives and instincts, alleviation from death anxiety, all that stuff. That's all psychology. I'm not going to go too deep into it, though I know a lot of you guys are interested, okay? Super ego is the persona. It's the mask you put on to interact with the world in a way where you're not going to be outcasted or ostracized in any way, right? So you do it to fit in, you do it to belong, okay? My super ego was strong when I was younger, and it slowly became more of the beast as it grew older, and I started to understand how to bridge the gap between them. Imagine you're a hero, right? In the psychological thriller movie, and you're walking down a dim lit alley where every corner holds a mystery. Heart races, your heart pounds, something lurks out of sight. It's powerful, it's raw, it's wild, it's the shadow. You're afraid of your own shadow. You're afraid of your inner beast. And this isn't a villain, it's the primal untamed part of you. It's the id, it's the keeper of the ancient instincts and biological drives crouching in the depths of your psyche, right? The shadow's power comes from the connection to your survival, your pleasure, your raw truth, like a silent predator. It's also driven by a pleasure principle, seeking to quench your every forbidden desire, demanding instant gratification all the time, and steering you towards the things that make you feel intensely alive. This force is what keeps you aware of the lurking edge of your mortality. It's a reminder that life is fragile and you got to push. It's going to push you to grab every experience like it's your last. Every thrill, every desire it chases is a way to keep death at bay, a way to assert life in the face of the abyss. But this beast doesn't want you to just survive, it wants you to live. It's not afraid to confront what makes you uncomfortable. You've tried to tame it, deny it, hide its existence. But like any great cinematic monster, the shadow knows when you're the weakest. It claws its ways to the surface through your impulses, dreams, sudden urges, whispering secrets you'd rather not admit. It's the reason you feel that twinge of jealousy, the thrill of a risk, or the inexplicable need to rebel against the rules. It's your shadow, bro. Here's the twist: your shadow ain't your enemy. It's the anti-hero. It starts off as this terrifying villain, but it holds the key to parts of yourself that you've forgotten, that you've buried, or even rejected. All these ego defenses. Okay? Let them come up. It's the protector of your deepest passions, your unapologetic truth, the raw parts of you that society or the perfect self wants to keep hidden. Okay? By the way, guys, wrapping up right now. So if you have any questions, just type them in. All right. I didn't check the messages for this live stream yet. 1 second. All right. All right. I'm here rather early for a change. What isn't a mind game when you think about it? The littlest thought can make all the difference, I'm sure. I had a red cardinal bird outside our window once in my previous house years ago when we first moved there. Concerning your Robin analogy. Yep. Do you find being concerned about money to be a valuable to be concerned about on like a personal note? You find being concerned about money is something valuable to be concerned about. Um, well, the thing about money is it's an egregore, it's an idea, it's a thought form, right? And the more we think about it, the more problems that causes for us, I believe. If money's in your pocket, that's great, or in your bank account, that's cool. But once it enters your mind, it comes up with all these weird strategies, get rich quick schemes, random, ideas that come through that pull you into greedy, objectives and like I have to sell my soul for this company or like I have to do these things. So I think it's mainly the byproduct of you overcomplicating money, so I think first and foremost, you change the mindset of what money means to you, what abundance really means to you. And to me, it's always meant nature or the eternal, the now ever. Money to me is like a tree, like it's giving its flowers, it's withering away, and then it's going to come back. So it's like a cycle, like a life cycle, like an ecosystem. I see it more as a part of the ecosystem or part of the economy, and it has a thought form of its own, right? So people in wealth or as they're tapped into that frequency, they can chime into what money is telling them and speaking to them, right? In China, a lot of their money, their deities are money or fortune deities, right? Based on luck and so forth. What does luck mean? Luck for more money, okay? So it depends, man. So even culturally, it could have an effect on you, right? Depending on your where you're raised and so forth. So don't be concerned about it because again, worry is a waste of your imagination. You shouldn't worry about it, but you should use discernment. You should have a backup somewhere where your money's saved, right? And don't associate money with your security because you're going to feel insecure then. Okay. You're going to feel secure then insecure, secure then insecure. Oh, I got some more money. Oh, I lost some money. Oh, I got some more money. And then you're just being reactive. You're living in effect to the grand scheme of life, right? You get what I mean, bro? Okay. So yeah, point it out. This is the my higher self in regards to money, right? You choose some very rich, wealthy character that really embodies that. And it's a fun one to work with, you know, Richie Rich or something. You choose it and you tap into. Now you have to make peace with that shadow. You've got to become the complex hero in your own story. That means accepting every wild, messy, exhilarating, nonsensical part of you. Cringiest part of yourself, right? It has its place. You got to integrate it. It's not about slaying the dragon or the beast. It's about becoming the warrior who can ride it, turning it from id to chaotic force to a dynamic ally. It's about turning your demons into your guard dogs. It's about stepping fully into your own power, knowing that while the shadow may lurk, it's also what makes you fearlessly alive, vibrant, full of life, vitality, you know, fertility. So in the end, the shadow is the rogue co-star of your life story, kind of like Venom and you know, Tom Hardy's character, Eddie. So it makes you the anti-hero with an edge, the protagonist who isn't afraid to face the darkness. Instead, you embrace it and you unlock a new level of aliveness because now you're living in real technicolor with every emotion, every desire, every thrill is vividly real. Okay. It's vividly real. It's like a lucid dream. All right. So, oh, I didn't write down all of these. So what else do we have? Introjection. Yeah, there's many others, guys, but just yeah, just look it up on your own. Psychological or ego defenses. You can also find something called cognitive distortions. Okay. Look up cognitive distortions. Cognitive distortions are irrational or exaggerated ways of thinking that frequently affect people with anxiety, depression. Okay. Let's see if we can find some of these. All right. All right. All right. Cognitive distortions examples. Polarized thinking. A student gets an A minus on an exam and feels like a failure because they're getting used to getting A plus only. If I'm not successful at everything I do, I'm a complete failure. Okay. We know people like this, bro. Such a standard, yo. And then you start crying. right? The thing is, this shouldn't be stigmatized because we all do this. We all think distortedly with distortions. This is inaccurate thinking, guys. Okay. This is where your thoughts are not helpful to you. So, this is why it's good to ask yourself the question, is this thought effective? Okay. This is the key to your overthinking, guys. Because if you have ineffective thoughts and you catch them, it's game over for them. Okay. It's Ghostbusters season, baby. Okay. Who are you going to call? You call yourself because you're the greatest shaman who ever lived. Right. Is this thought effective? If it's not, let it go. Just inhale, exhale, let it go. It's gone. Okay. It's gone. Is this thought effective? Again, it's coming up again. Is this effective right now? What am I doing right now? This. Let it go. Okay. Mental filtering. You focus on one negative comment your manager made about you, right? But you had a good performance review overall, incredible performance review. You zoom in on a one negative comment. That's mental filtering, bro. Okay. Chica, have you ever gotten a good grade, but you overlooked it and you tried to explain that good grade as a luck or a fluke instead of your actual hard work that you put in? You're disqualifying the positive. Hey, uncle, have you ever received a bad grade on something and then someone thinks that you're stupid and a failure? Well, you think of that yourself, right? And you feel that all future exams will also get a bad grade. I failed one. That means I failed all, or all women are like this. All men are like this. Okay. Jumping to conclusions, mind reading. Okay. Fortune telling. Okay. These are the psyches that I hate, bro. Right. You go on a date and this chick is like, oh man, I predict this is going to go so bad. Right. And they're making assumptions before the date has even occurred yet in the mind. They're future projecting into a negative reality that hasn't even happened yet. And then they're questioning, why is it happening? Well, it's what the mind does when it's in a negative place. When you have anxiety, when you have depression, you think like this. Right? In the new movie, the Kraken movie or whatever, it's like that. And what if the boat sinks forever or whatever that chick says it? And she's like, stop catastrophizing, Moira, or whatever, right? So it's in the movies nowadays. We got to know this stuff. Okay. It's in the Disney movies nowadays. Catastrophizing, magnifying it to a nth degree, right? Escalating to, well, that was escalated fast, right? When you say that, yep, that's catastrophizing. That's magnifying. Well, that escalated fast. Minimization. You don't acknowledge your accomplishments, right? You won some great award. You did the work. Yes, whatever. You know, it's not a big deal. Okay. Bro, you lost sleep over it. You fucking, you had to show up at that rehearsal. You'd be kicked out of the team. You don't remember that? Yeah, it's whatever, bro. But inside, you're like broiling. You want to say something. You want to attend and express yourself, but you're being taught as a man to never do that. So you keep it all inside of you and just like, yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's fine. It's all good. Right. And you keep doing that until you suddenly lash out in an unhealthy way at something. Why? Because that's how your sexual, spiritual energy spills out, is through anger, through irritation, through the idea of the three poisons in Buddhism. Okay. This makes you think that you're unfairly excluded or you don't belong. Personalization, right? you tend to party, but all your friends are like busy with others. So you feel like you're the friend that's left out, and then you take it personally, and then, you create the storyline and it stacks. The storyline creates itself, and then another one, 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 right? And you can't stop it, right? You can't stop the mind from becoming this sinister plot device, this mechanism that constantly seeks its own agendas, right? So it places blame for your everybody else instead of what? Taking responsibility. So all of these cognitive distortions are probably going to show up at some level, right? During your shadow work, you got to get really clear about these things because it's going to come up and it's going to keep bothering you, pestering you until you what? You start to think accurately again. When your thoughts are accurate, clear, and sharp, these distortions are just like, they're just zip past you. They're just general noises. They're not this blaring static that you keep hearing. You get it? So this becomes a game of skill. Get that? This becomes a skill set for you to maintain, right? So your shadow traits are really the parts of you that you have to reflect on. Okay. So the main shadow traits for men, I'm just going to take the shadow traits for this one. So let me see. Right here. Okay. So clearly you guys are some of you guys are like this, okay? You're studying the dark arts, you're probably like this all the time, okay? This is right from the animus and anima chart, okay? So we ain't making this shit up. You guys want to see the female one? Feminine one? Because, hey, I know many guys who are drama queens, okay? All right. All right. Okay. Thinking without acting, acting without thinking. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? Okay. A lot of you guys are thinking without acting. You're very feminine. This is what the society has made you guys. Very feminine. Gossiping, talking vengefully like you're gonna do some harm to somebody. Okay. Obsessions, random, complaining, being shy or too timid. Okay. Now, these aren't things to be feared or felt like this is bad that I'm feeling like this. Then it's a double whammy, right? Then you're double fucked. Okay. So you got to be like, okay, I feel combative right now. I feel very combative. However, I can be the opposite of this, right? And what do they say the opposite of combative is? Funny. The opposite of argumentative, maybe action oriented. Okay. Instead of egotistical, why not goal-oriented? Instead of vain, self-assuredness, right? So all of these things have remedies. As a woman, you're feeling insecure. You work on your humility, you know? You're very passive as a woman. You get social, right? You're very nosy. You become more attentive. You start listening better, right? So this is how you're going to be the master alchemist, is you're alchemizing these traits. This is fuel for you. So when you notice this showing up in you, this is your dark shadow fuel. This is where you need to connect with your id, your desire, your primitive primal pleasure principle. Okay? And just tap into it, understand it better. And slowly you will start to notice that this is not you. This is just a part of you that you got to integrate. What if I integrated that brazen, aggressive side of me, right? What if I found a place where he can be at home there, when I can express that? Like a lot of men, getting into martial arts is empowering, right? Because you're letting all of this stuff out. Egotism, being overly logical as you fight, right? Defiant, saying, no, I won't do it like that. I won't learn from you. You know, you change coaches or whatever, right? So it's all of these aspects are being explored. When you're in a dojo or when you're in doing a sport or you're something that you're really committed to, right? You're doing each day. You understand that you can measure your patterns then. It becomes more second nature because you've done it so many times that now you know the new loopholes, the new patterns. It's almost like that field of expertise has its own patterns that emerge out of it at times, right? So it could be in your industry, particular industry where you work, you've noticed all of these random patterns coming up around this time, or maybe March time next year, you'll notice another pattern emerge, and that will set up more opportunities for your specific niche, right? So this is what you have to observe as a flow state Jedi. As you tap in and feel good each day, you're not overly relying on just consuming. You're also in that creative flux of giving back. And that's why it's so important to speak to others and share your vision and teach. Teach because you're going to learn better. Teach because you're going to stack on your own wisdom and knowledge. Okay. Teach because it's important to you. Okay. It's a part of your growth. I show up to teach every single day. You guys know my work ethic, right? I don't need to prove it to you. It just is. So therefore, I'm fine tuning this through my own way. And it comes through discipline, finding the bliss of the present moment, and then having the discipline to lean in to evolve whatever state that I'm currently feeling. So if I feel constricted, tired, lazy, out of place, out of whack, chakras in a knot, whatever, I know that if I just give myself the space and the time, I can replenish, I can let go of those patterns, and I can reemerge much stronger. On the other side with the elixir of life, on the other side with the elixir of life. Okay. So this is it. Got to tap into your efficiency muscles 100%. Okay. And I'm not saying, don't get sleep or don't get rest. Rest 100, play 100. Okay. And in between, that little gray area is where you fine tune it. That's like the super glue between the spiritual worlds and this world, right? That's like that little bit that adds that playful. So you need three elements for true fun in life. You need three elements for true fun: playfulness, connection, and flow. This is what I stand for. This is my brand. This is everything to me right now. Because it's such a power that we got to acknowledge. Okay. It's such a power that we've got to acknowledge because you feel lighthearted and free in playfulness. You're just enjoying it. You're not there to win a game. You are sharing a special experience with someone or something. Isn't that beautiful? And flow is you're totally involved. You don't even notice the time going past. Now that you have this formula of true fun, why not have true fun every day, everywhere? Playful, connective, flow. Playful, connective, flow. Playful, connective, flow. Vibration has immediately downloaded and will now take effect within the next few weeks. Flow state emerging. Okay. I just gave you the newest upgrades, the spiritual upgrades, and now you just need to tap in. Okay. Tap into the true fun, tap into that, feel into your presence. Okay. You can be anybody. You can shape this thing. You don't need to be how you've always been. How you've always been is a cop out. How you've always been is how you already know yourself to be. It's not shadow work. It's not discovering the parts of you that are still in hiding, right? That you've kept up locked in a basement internally in your internal world, whereas you need to actually go down to that basement and start digging. That's a great activity for you to do. It's very scary for a lot of people to do. So don't go into it. If you're trained to go into it, it can be very powerful. Do it with a guide, do it with me, okay, if you want, but don't just go into it because shadow work can be very, very terrifying. And for someone who's not ready to handle that, it can actually make them way more sad, way more depressed, okay? Because they're seeing the things they don't like about themselves over and over again, right? And it's stacking more and more. And they're just like, I just want the truth. Man, I just want the light. I just want the peace. I don't want to go through all this nonsense, this pain anymore, right? Take it away from me. But you resisting that pain is creating more pain for you, my friend. That's the paradox of this life. You gotta have imposed challenge, right? Otherwise, life is going to be challenging enough for you. Okay, you got to impose your own challenge towards yourself to be better, and that's only how you're going to evolve in this lifetime. You know, not just be the same person. Okay, don't be a robot. Learn to be a human being again. Learn to connect with that inner beast. Give it a space to move around and you know how powerful growling is, but nobody does it because we all look like weirdos if we do it. But weirdo is the greatest thing. I call girls weirdos, dorks all the time, but it's a compliment. You know, that's the way I compliment. It's like you're weird, but you're interesting. That's why I'm calling you weird, right? It's not a bad thing. And then I go into it with the origins of the word means it's fated, right? Weird means fate or destiny. So that one word can bring me to an entire new world, and that's what I choose because that's my frame of reality. See, once you think like this and you get that nostalgia, nostalgia, okay, you can then tap in to this incredible unity with the real you, and you feel it. You get this primal deja vu, right? This primal deja vu re-emerging. Okay, let me ask ChatGPT. How can we access our primal deja vu? Let's see what it says. Sensory rituals, of course, that's a good one, right? Sensory rituals like using musk or cedar wood, right? To evoke like a place that evoked a fire or wilderness or forest fires or whatever, right? So you could use the smells to help you access the states of mind and the places that have these deep-rooted memories. Immersive environments, like go somewhere wild or untamed, where you feel connected to the timeless in those spaces. So the untouched natural world brings up these archetypal memories sometimes, reminding us of places that we've been, but then we can't quite remember. So you might go into the Colosseum, but you might have seen like a similar Colosseum, maybe in another dimension, in another galaxy somewhere, right? But then you're just like, oh, but this Colosseum is bringing me towards an ancient artifact, towards my heart space, or whatever you're saying to yourself, right? Like, you understand this hypnagogic state, right, between wakefulness and sleep, where you get the little eye flutters, the little floaties in the eyes and stuff. Your mind wanders without control. That's usually where the ancient primal scenes sometimes unfold without logical explanation much, right? You might get these primal deja vus in those moments, but also rhythm is one of our oldest, most primal experiences. Okay. So this is the way that repetitive rhythm and breath induce altered states of consciousness, where you might get that primal deja vu emerging as you lose yourself in ancient rhythms or an oddly familiar place. Have you ever heard like some kind of a tribal drum, right? And you just let yourself feel into that? Because how does that feel? That rhythm is a trance, right? A trance-like state. You're channeling through the rhythm. And rhythm is one of the ways that the rake gets the siren of the art of seduction. Okay, that's a secret that not a lot of us know because we have this metaphysical edge to studying this stuff with an esoteric lens. Okay, and it's very powerful and empowering to think this way. Okay, symbolic art and visualizations, of course, mandalas, animal totems, ancient glyphs. Then it says archetypes that are embedded primal roles in our DNA, like the warrior, the sage, the lover. So yeah, actually, Jung believes that these archetypes are somehow connected to a lineage of countless lives because they feel oddly familiar, right? They create a sense of lived history within you. And so when you dive into this wellspring of ancient feelings, instincts, and stories that connect you to the timeless, the more you unlock layers of yourself that are rich with memories far beyond this lifetime. Okay, connecting you with the absolute timeless nature of reality itself. So this is it, guys. Okay, work with the shadow, create an image for your shadow. Maybe it looks like a blue alien, right? Maybe it just looks like a strange looking character. Okay, all right. If you give it an image like this now you know that this is my character, right? This is my imagery that I use to find out, what this character is or what they represent, you know? Now that you have this sigil, now you have this representation of your shadow. Now you have more of a sense of it. It's like a voodoo doll, but now you've done it for your own shadow. So what you do is you keep updating this drawing to better and better. Does this make sense, guys? So you draw it week one, you draw him like this. And by week 2, you can add something to this mandala. This is a tech that we got from BBA as well, but it's slightly modified. But it's very, very powerful, okay? So if we add like an outer layer of a mandala and then another symbol here, let's say that this is like a flower you add to the scene or whatever. So week 1 was this clown looking thing, okay? Week 2 was this flower. Week 3 was this. And then you add, it's almost like creating a dream journal with images, right? So you're creating the ultimate shadow archetype, and shadow floaty things around it create various layers or qualities that you can give for integration. You know, you're giving these ideas up for integration so that they can get processed in your collective mind, right? So you're going, all right, I jump to conclusions a lot and I'm a mind reader. So I'm going to use this image or these 2 cards for mind reading, and I'm going to place it in here, right? Cool. That's part of my shadow. The next thing is I have an addiction towards scrolling my phone. So I'm going to draw a phone over here. He's scrolling and this guy can't get enough of the phone. You start building your shadow as a representation on this piece of paper, okay? And then now you have to create a hero, an energy that is the opposite of this energy that can balance it out. This is the priest beast, right? So first of all, you've created your beast. You understood what your beast is, right? You understood exactly why he's a beast in that certain way. It has specific patterns, characteristics, traits, right? You can tap into. And then you maybe create um, a very wise version. Okay, a priest that shows up, and both of them have a relationship with each other, priestess, right? So both of these, the priest and the beast and the priest and the priestess, the 4 minds, they have to emerge, merge with each other, integrate with each other, so they can be little puzzle pieces and they're not feeling left out in any way, right? A lot of people are very lopsided, so they will just double down on just being the shadow or just being the light. But there's not a healthy midpoint with both. If you have a healthy midpoint, you're going to be living with a lot of authenticity, a lot of freedom, a lot of great ecstatic states of bliss and harmony and happiness. Not all the time, but it's definitely a change in the way that you see the world, the way that your consciousness has evolved, actually. Okay. It's upgraded to see from the newer celestial penthouse, right? So once you raise in your chakras, you can see differently. A lot of people are very higher chakra up. They have all these ideas and insights and imagination, but they can't take action, right? They don't have a strong solar plexus and root chakra to stay grounded. So this is what we have really advocated as Primal Sutra, is get back to your foundations again, back to the root, back to the solar plexus, stop going so much into the headiness because it's bringing you into this floaty realm, right? It's not letting you get the results that you want and need, okay? So work on the beast, just crush it, become a monster, okay? And then learn to control it with the priest or the priestess, okay? Learn how to control it. This is the taming of the dragon, right? This is the taming of the inner beast. And you're not really taming, you're domesticating it. It's becoming your friend. It's now a part of you, and it's your vahana or whatever. It's your vehicle that your character, your main archetype rides on, right? So you can be different kind of priests. You don't have to be a monk or a shaman. Some people prefer to be yogis. Others prefer to be, you know, healers or medicine workers, medicine man, medicine woman. Some people prefer to just label themselves as practitioners or, It's up to you, but I think if you're really going to be tapped into spirituality as well as physicality, it's the right way to go about it, man. It's the right way to go about it because, hey, you need the priest to have a strong spiritual backing. You need the beast to have a strong killer instinct and, you know, killer body. Let's get it. Upward spiral gang. May we never be the same again. And I really think that this is going to be very, very powerful once we learn to integrate these parts of us that are actually inaccurate thoughts that we have to call out, check them, check them. Okay. Just like the woman, she tests you to make sure that you're man enough or whatever. The universe is also going to be checking you, checking to see, are you really who you say you are? Are you gold or are you gold plated? Are you a tiger or have you just painted your stripes on? Right? It's going to keep testing. And that isn't an excuse for you to go into this imposter syndrome. It's actually the perfect pocket for your transformation, actually. Okay. So the doubt that you feel, doubt that doubt. Okay. Because it's not real. It's an illusion. All of this is. And it's up to you to recognize this, heal your shadows, integrate your shadows, and let's create a beautiful world together. Because once all our shadows are integrated, there's no more wars or poverty or, these different things we see in the world. This world full of destruction, this world full of evil. We see it. Okay. Is human nature really that evil, or are we spiritually evolving, expanding more to the heart center? We're starting to realize our true advancement comes through the heart. You tell me. Let's get it today. Upward spiral gang. May we never be the same again. Thank you so much for tapping in. We're all going to make it. Keep tapping in. Keep doing the work. You got this. We got this. Upward spiral gang. May the flow